Your brain is lying to you right now. And the smarter you are, the bigger the lie. Next time you see a headline about AI replacing jobs, watch yourself. Watch the first thought that fires. Yeah, but my job is different. My industry is more complicated than that. Notice how fast it showed up. It's automatic. Your brain jumped in to protect you. That speed is the giveaway. You're literally hiding. I know, because I hid for 10 years. I'll show you exactly what that cost me later in this video and how I realized what was happening before it was too late. Which is the reason why I'm sitting here today instead of sitting somewhere in the dark wondering what went wrong. But first, you need to understand something about the last time something very similar to this happened. Because the last group of people who saw exactly what was coming, who were smarter than everyone around them, who tried everything to stop it, they still lost in just 2 years. And right now the clock is already running fast. In 1812, the British government sent 12,000 soldiers into its own country, not to fight a war, to stop a group of workers who had lost their jobs. 12,000 soldiers. Those workers were called the Luddites, and the story you've heard about them is wrong. Today, calling someone a Luddite means they're stupid, scared of technology, too slow to adapt. But the real Luddites were the most skilled workers in England. Here's what they actually did. They made cloth by hand. One piece took years of training to do well, and anyone buying it knew the difference immediately. A top weaver trained as long as a doctor. They could read and write when most people couldn't. They weren't dumb, they were the best at what they did. That skill fed their families. It got passed down for generations. Then the machines came. A new machine could do in a day what a skilled man did in a week. But here's the part that really matters. You didn't need the skill anymore. A factory owner could stick a cheap worker without the education in front of one, pay him almost nothing, and get cloth that was a bit worse, but cheap enough that nobody cared. One machine and one cheap worker replaced 10 men who trained their whole lives. So the weaver didn't lose his job because he was bad at it. He was in fact the best. He lost it because the thing he was best at suddenly didn't need a human at all. And they didn't start by smashing the machines. They wrote letters to Parliament. They asked for fair pay. They asked for the new machines to come in gradually so people could find new work. The government said no. Therefore, it got violent. The government passed a law making it punishable by death to break a machine. Therefore, they sent in the army. And in 1813, the Luddites were hanged, shipped to Australia, and just erased. The machines won anyway. Hold that in your head. Because that's not a story about stupid people fighting progress. That's a story about the smartest, most skilled workers in the country watching their entire world disappear in 24 months. They saw it, they fought it, and they lost anyways. Not because they were wrong, but because they ran out of time. Now look at what's happening right now. And I need you to pay close attention because these numbers move so fast that by the time most people notice, the window is already closing. There's a test for AI called the SWE bench. Real coding, real broken software, and real fixes. In 2023, the best AI could solve 4% of it. 1 year later, 72%. But that's not the number that should scare you. A lab called METR built a test to measure something simple. How long of a job can AI completely, entirely run on its own, without human intervention? No help from start to finish. In 2019, the answer was 20 seconds. By 2024, about 1 hour. But in May 2026, a new model hit 16 hours of autonomous work. And then the lab admitted their own test can't keep up anymore. The tasks they use internally aren't long enough to challenge the AI. They built a ruler to measure this thing, and the thing outgrew the ruler in 18 months. But here's where it gets personal. Here's where it hits your life. Stanford published a study this year. They called it Canaries in the Coal Mine. They looked at the jobs that AI hits the hardest, like coding, customer service, and junior analysis. And they tracked what happened to young workers aged 22 to 25 since ChatGPT launched. The jobs are down 16%, but the older workers in those same roles, their numbers didn't drop as much. So whatever is happening isn't firing the senior engineers. Not yet. What it's doing is letting the senior engineer do the work that used to need a junior person helping him. He writes the plan, the AI writes the first draft. He checks it and ships it. The junior never gets fired because the junior just never gets hired. Therefore, the experienced guy feels great, busier than ever, getting raises, hearing people panic about AI and just laughing. Because from where he sits, AI made his job easier. So he's not the one in danger. The person in danger is the one who never got through the door. But the senior engineer will also be in danger down the line. You know how miners used to carry a canary into the mine? If the bird dropped dead, they knew the air was poisoned. The young workers are the canary. They drop first. The senior keeps breathing fine. Right up until the day he looks around and realizes nobody is coming up behind him. Just an AI that cost 280 times less than it did 18 months ago. I need to tell you something, because I didn't just study this pattern, I lived it. I spent 10 years in the wrong business, from 21 to 31. I had the discipline, the habits, and every morning, every weekend I worked all the time. And on a good year, the business barely broke even. There was this night in 2022 where I was staring at my numbers and I saw the average price in my market had been dropping for 2 years, slowly. Just a few dollars. And at the same time, some kid on Instagram with a phone and no experience was outperforming my entire professional setup. I knew, sitting at that desk, I knew my business was dying. But you know what I did? I made up a story inside my head. It's just a slow year, the kid will quit, my experience matters, things will go back to normal. But things didn't go back to normal, and the kid didn't quit. My business was bleeding out right in front of me, but I couldn't see it, because I was still making just enough money to keep lying to myself. And that's the trap. Feeling fine is not proof you're safe. Feeling fine just means you haven't hit the wall yet. Your paycheck still showing up doesn't mean your job is secure. It just means your job hasn't died or been replaced yet. And this is the part I've never heard anyone else say. Smart people don't just fall into this trap. They actually fall deeper. Because when the threat shows up, your brain builds reasons to ignore it. Comfortable explanations, logical sounding defenses. And the smarter you are, the better those reasons sound. The more your entire identity is built around being good at your job, the harder your brain fights to explain away the danger. That's why the Luddites lost. Not because they were stupid, because they were so good at their craft that their brains couldn't accept the craft was dying. The best weaver in the village had 20 years of proof that his skill mattered. Every piece of bad news bounced off that wall of proof, until the wall collapsed in 2 years. I did the same thing for a decade. So here's the question, just one question. The Luddites saw it coming. They fought with everything they had, and they still lost, because 2 years wasn't enough time. Right now, AI capability is doubling faster than any technology in human history. Office jobs have been shrinking for over 30 months straight, while the rest of the economy grows. The cost of running AI dropped 280-fold in a year and a half. The question was never whether you can see it coming, Everyone can see it coming. The question is whether you're actually doing something about it at the speed that this moment demands, or whether you're still sitting in the glow of a paycheck that arrives on time, telling yourself, oh, my job is different, my job is safe. The Luddites had 2 years. They ran out of time. How much time do you think you have? I use AI 12 hours a day. I build with it, I create with it, I automate with it, and I still feel like I'm barely keeping up. But I'd rather be barely keeping up than standing still. If you want to actually get ahead of this, instead of just watching it happen, the most important thing you can do right now is start learning real AI skills the right way, not surface level prompting. The skills that separate people building real things from the people still talking about it a year from now. If you want to learn how you can be one of those who build real businesses instead of watching others doing it, that's exactly what I cover in this video right here. Click that one and I'll see you there.